Hi, I'm Lauren King, an associate professor in the College of Medicine and the director of pathology content for our UT medical students. One effective active learning strategy that I've used is modeling in my classroom sessions to promote student engagement. We've all been there. We have the lecture that we dread. As a student, you are sitting there watching 45 PowerPoints of black and white images, someone giving you diagnosis A has features B, C, D. Diagnosis B has features this, that, the other. You're falling asleep. You don't remember the information. And then you become the instructor and you're the person putting people to sleep. You're sharing the same information. It's boring. It's dry. You don't like it. They don't like it. You're watching people nod off on their desk or shop on Amazon instead of engaging with the material. This was renal pathology for me. If you have not studied renal pathology, it is full of minute detail. Literally, you are using electron microscopy to look at features of the kidney that are too tiny to conceptualize in your brain. They're black and white images. There's a million points for every diagnosis. And as a student, you feel like you're never going to be able to tell these apart, that they all look the same. When I was told that I would get to teach renal pathology, I was a little bit nervous because I knew that this was a topic that I hated, and I'm a pathologist. And I also remembered as a student, it was a topic that just seemed so unuseful. It didn't seem like anything that I would use beyond that 4 weeks, that 4-week module that we learned. So when I started approaching the information, I looked at the schedule and recognized that I had a review session at the very end of the module where the students had heard about these diagnoses, but I had this opportunity to help them really put them together. So I went and gathered my craft supplies. I got my party-sized cans of Play-Doh, I got beads, paper clips, string, webbing, glitter glue, and sketches of the renal filtration system, the glomerulus. When I came to class that day and opened up the bag, the students were confused, but I showed them a clinical scenario and let them choose what supplies they wanted to take for them to begin building models. I asked them to build a model of what they might see under the microscope, given the clinical scenario presented. And the students took it and ran with it. Being able to manipulate things at a real 1x size instead of through a black and white tiny image really seemed to make them excited. They were able to build the little foot processes of the glomerulus and then smash them down to represent the change that they saw. They were able to cover beads in Play-Doh and in glitter glue to represent immune deposits in certain areas of the structures of the kidney. The students then were able to teach one another. So I asked them to share about the model that they had built with their neighbors. And they started arguing. They started talking about how their model was better than the other model, or they started pooling their resources and making models that had more than one color involved. After they had a chance to discuss the models, we then took it even one more step further and talked about how would it change if we altered this aspect of the clinical scenario? What if we used a different imaging methodology? What if instead of looking on electron microscopy, we looked at immunofluorescence now for your same diagnosis? And to hear the students discuss and defend what they had learned was really rewarding as an educator. So this lesson really allowed me to see where my students were understanding and where they may still have some knowledge gaps. It also helped me to be engaged with them. I was walking around, poking my finger in their Play-Doh, helping them kind of manipulate these tools that they had and showing them, show me where you've represented your capillaries. Show me where you've represented the immune deposits and really interacting with them in that way. I also found it to be a big relief that I didn't have to prepare 40 dry slides of black and white pictures. I had this moment where putting together this activity was fun for me too, to think of the clinical scenarios. And I will admit, I never imagined how far they would take their models. But going forward, I know that they're capable of applying this material and building these complex models to illustrate what they've learned. Probably the biggest moments that I'm proud of is getting to see how the students were able to reflect what they had learned. I asked them before and after the activity, how's your knowledge? How would you rate your knowledge in this material? And while they said before that they felt they understood it, afterwards, the students felt they really felt comfortable with applying it both to the clinical scenarios, which we're physicians, that's important, but also that they could compare and contrast these diagnoses. It was no longer a laundry list of features to them. It was something that they really could understand and conceptualize. It was also very rewarding when between the first year that I did this activity and the second year, I actually had students coming up to me before we did the activity saying, hey, are we going to get to do that Play-Doh thing I heard about? So I guess good news travels fast. And it was really fun for me to see that the students were looking forward to having that experience as well. What I would encourage you to do is look at the lectures that you're giving, look at the teaching sessions and find that one that you dread. Find that dry, boring lecture. Maybe it's what you dreaded as a student. And brainstorm some ways that you might be able to make it more active and more hands-on. It may not be Play-Doh, it may not be glitter glue, but maybe you have students use highlighters to pick out certain structures in a photo. Maybe you have students assemble popsicle stick models. Maybe you have students create a meme together. All of those are ways to really make it fun for your students, capture that material for them, but also fun for you as an educator. Thank you.